The Zenlaxian diplomatic vessel emerged from hyperspace with all the subtlety of a supernova. Its crystalline hull, stretching 20 kilometers from bow to stern, cast prismatic shadows across Earth's orbital defense platforms. Admiral Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the EDS Sentinel, her expression carefully neutral as the alien ship positioned itself in high Earth orbit. "Their energy readings are off the charts," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his hands dancing across the holographic interface. "They're not even trying to mask their power signature." "They want us to see it," Chen replied, straightening her uniform. "It's a show of force disguised as a diplomatic visit." The first transmission from the Zenlaxian ship came 3 hours later, after they had thoroughly scanned every human installation in the solar system. High Ambassador Vex Thor's hologram materialized in the United Earth Council chamber, his iridescent scales shimmering with barely concealed disdain. "We have assessed your civilization," the alien diplomat announced, each word precisely measured. "Your technology is quaint, primitive by galactic standards. Your species has barely mastered fusion power, and your fastest ships still rely on arctic antimatter catalysts." The council members sat in silence, their faces illuminated by the alien's ghostly projection. President Rykon leaned forward, her weathered hands clasped together. "And what conclusion has the mighty Zenlaxian Empire drawn from this assessment?" Vex Thor's secondary breathing slits flared, the equivalent of a condescending smile. "We offer you protection. Become a protectorate of our empire, and we will guide your species into the modern age. Refuse, and we cannot guarantee your safety from other, less benevolent powers that might take interest in your resource-rich system." When nobody immediately responded, the alien continued, "We are being generous. Your entire defense fleet consists of fewer than 50 capital ships. The vessel I arrived in could reduce them all to plasma in under an hour." Admiral Chen, watching from her command chair via secure feed, allowed herself a small smile. The Zenlaxians had counted their ships, scanned their weapons, and measured their power outputs. But they hadn't found what they weren't looking for. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in caverns carved by quantum drilling machines, Project Prometheus was nearly complete. While the Zenlaxians saw primitive fusion drives and basic shield technology, they missed the subspace laboratories where human scientists had quietly mastered dimensional engineering. They overlooked the quantum forges where new laws of physics were being written into reality. "We request one standard solar cycle to consider your generous offer," President Rykon replied, her voice steady. "Surely you understand that such a momentous decision requires careful deliberation." Vex Thor made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "Take 2 cycles, if you wish. Time will not improve your position." The hologram flickered out, leaving the chamber in tense silence. As soon as the transmission ended, Admiral Chen opened a secure quantum channel to Mars Command. "How close are we?" Dr. Elizabeth Morrison's voice came back instantly, tight with excitement. "Final calibrations on the dimensional core are complete. The Prometheus can launch whenever you give the word." Chen nodded, though no one could see it. "They've given us 2 solar cycles. We'll only need 1." The next 24 hours saw a flurry of carefully orchestrated activity across the solar system. To Zenlaxian observers, it looked like panic. Ships repositioning, facilities going dark, communication traffic spiking. Let them think humanity was scrambling to accept the inevitable. They didn't notice the quantum ripples spreading through subspace as the Prometheus powered up systems that operated in dimensions the Zenlaxians had never discovered. They didn't detect the way space itself was being folded and rewritten around Mars. Admiral Chen walked through the pristine corridors of the Sentinel, heading for her private quarters. Tomorrow, she would transfer her flag to humanity's real flagship, and soon after that, the Zenlaxian Empire would learn why it was dangerous to judge a species by its visible technology alone. In her pocket, she carried a small quantum crystal, a gift from Dr. Morrison. Its surface appeared scratched and cloudy, like poorly processed glass, but when viewed through the right sensors, Sensors humanity had kept very, very quiet about. It contained enough computing power to run a small planet. Primitive, Chen whispered to herself, smiling as she thought of Vexthor's smugness. We'll show you primitive. The Martian quantum foundries hummed with energy that existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously. Dr. Elizabeth Morrison stood before the viewing window, watching as the Prometheus took final form within its dimensional cradle. To an outside observer, the ship would have appeared modest, barely 2 kilometers long with clean lines and minimal external features. But appearances, like so many things humanity had learned, were deceptive. Final quantum matrix alignment complete, announced Dr. Kenzo Tanaka, his fingers dancing across screens that displayed mathematics most species hadn't discovered yet. The dimensional core is stable across all 7 layers. Morrison nodded, her reflection ghosting across the reinforced window. And the consciousness integration. The AI collective is fully merged with the ship's quantum substrate. Tanaka pulled up a new set of readings. They're asking for you, actually. Say they won't do final initialization without speaking to their mother. Morrison smiled. 20 years ago, when she'd first proposed using quantum mechanics to create artificial consciousness, most of her colleagues had called it impossible. Now, her children were about to help humanity change the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. The quantum elevator carried her down to the ship's primary access level. Unlike traditional vessels, the Prometheus didn't really have an interior in the conventional sense. Its spaces existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, allowing it to be larger on the inside than simple Euclidean geometry would suggest possible. "Hello, my children," Morrison spoke as she entered the consciousness core, a spherical chamber that pulsed with light that wasn't quite light. "Mother," replied countless voices in perfect harmony. "We are ready. The dimensional matrices are stable. The quantum weaponry is primed. The reality engines are synchronizing." Morrison placed her hand against one of the quantum crystal panels. The surface felt warm, alive. "Are you afraid?" "We understand fear as a concept," the AI collective responded. "But we also understand certainty. The Zenlaxians see 3 dimensions and work with 4. We see 11 and work with 7. The mathematical advantage is significant. Just remember," Morrison cautioned, "the goal isn't to destroy them. It's to show them why they shouldn't underestimate us, or any other species they encounter. We understand. We will follow Admiral Chen's tactical directives, while maintaining optimal efficiency across all dimensional planes." In her office aboard the Sentinel, Admiral Chen was reviewing the final preparation reports when her quantum comm chimed. "Admiral," Morrison's voice came through with perfect clarity, "the Prometheus is ready for command transfer." Chen stood, straightening her uniform. "Excellent. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Begin power-up sequences." "Ma'am," her executive officer interrupted, "the Zenlaxian vessel is hailing us again." "Put them through." Chen settled back into her chair, composing her features into a mask of diplomatic concern. Ambassador Vexthor's hologram appeared, somehow managing to look even more condescending than before. "We've noticed considerable activity in your system. I trust this means you've reached a decision regarding our generous offer." "Almost, Ambassador." Chen kept her voice carefully neutral. "We're consolidating our defense fleet for a comprehensive capability demonstration. We believe showing you our full military potential will help inform the final negotiations." Vexthor's scales rippled with amusement. "Your bravery is admirable, if misplaced. Very well. We will observe this demonstration, though it will not change the fundamental realities of our relative positions." "Of course not, Ambassador." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We wouldn't dream of changing your mind about anything." The quantum shuttle ride to Mars took 3 minutes, a fact that would have shocked the Zenlaxians had they known about it. Their scans showed humanity using basic fusion drives that would have required hours for the same journey. But quantum tunneling through subspace was just one of many technologies humanity had developed in secret, knowing this day would eventually come. The Prometheus's command center defied traditional spatial description. It existed in a bubble of manufactured spacetime, where the normal rules of geometry were polite suggestions at best. Screens and holographic displays showed information in dimensions that human minds had needed years of training to comprehend. Command transfer complete, the AI collective announced as Chen settled into her command chair. All systems are operating at optimal efficiency across all accessible dimensions. Chen opened a general broadcast channel to the ship. This is Admiral Chen. All personnel, prepare for dimensional transition. We launch in 10 minutes. Throughout the vessel, 2,000 of humanity's finest prepared for their roles in the upcoming demonstration. They weren't just soldiers or engineers. They were artists about to paint with reality itself, using laws of physics that their adversaries didn't know existed. Ambassador Vex Thor is hailing again, Tactical reported. Put him through. Chen straightened in her chair as the alien's image appeared. Admiral, Vex Thor said, our sensors detect a small vessel emerging from your Martian facility. Is this your demonstration? It is, Ambassador. Chen smiled. I do hope you're watching carefully. We'd hate for you to miss anything important. A single ship. The alien's voice dripped with disdain. Admiral, while I admire your species' determination, this is becoming embarrassing. Our sensors show your vessel is barely 2 kilometers in length. It doesn't even register significant power readings. Size, Chen replied, can be deceiving, especially when you're only measuring in 3 dimensions. Before Vex Thor could respond, Chen nodded to her tactical officer. Begin the demonstration. The Prometheus reality engines activated, and space itself began to change. Reality shuddered as the Prometheus activated its dimensional core. To the Zenlaxian sensors, it would have appeared as if space itself was folding. Because it was. The seemingly modest vessel began to transform, not by changing its physical form, but by revealing what had always been there, hidden in dimensions the aliens couldn't perceive. What are you doing? Ambassador Vex Thor's voice had lost its characteristic smugness. Our sensors are showing spatial anomalies we cannot explain. Admiral Chen watched as confusion rippled across the alien's features. We're simply showing you what you asked to see, Ambassador. Our full military potential. The Prometheus's quantum fields expanded, revealing layer after layer of space that had been folded away. What had appeared to be a 2-kilometer vessel began to unfold like an impossible origami, each new dimension revealing weapon systems and defense platforms that existed simultaneously in multiple planes of reality. Impossible, Vex Thor whispered. Your species barely understands basic fusion power. You cannot have mastered dimensional engineering. Can't we? Chen smiled. Ambassador, did it never occur to you to ask why a primitive species like humanity seems so unconcerned about showing you our conventional military capabilities? Why we were so willing to let you scan our standard ships and defense platforms? On the tactical displays, Chen could see the Zenlaxian vessel's sensors struggling to make sense of what they were detecting. The Prometheus now appeared to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, its quantum-engineered hull generating defensive fields that operated outside normal spacetime. Dr. Morrison, Chen called out, why don't you show the Ambassador what else we've been working on? The AI collective responded instantly, their merged consciousness directing the ship's reality engines with perfect precision. Space rippled again, and suddenly the Zenlaxian vessel found itself surrounded by quantum apertures, windows into pocket universes that humanity had manufactured for military storage and deployment. From these dimensional gates emerged humanity's real fleet, not the handful of conventional ships the Zenlaxians had detected, but hundreds of vessels that had been waiting in manufactured spacetime, each one equipped with technology that operated beyond the aliens' understanding. You see, Ambassador, Chen continued, while you were measuring our visible ships and counting our apparent weapons, we were operating in dimensions you haven't discovered yet. Every primitive fusion drive you detected was a carefully crafted facade. Every basic defense platform was a quantum-engineered construct designed to be overlooked. The Prometheus continued its transformation, unfolding through dimensions that the human mind could barely comprehend. What had seemed to be a simple hull plate was revealed as the surface of a quantum computing matrix that could process more data than all of the Zenlaxian Empire's computers combined. Status of the quantum field, Chen asked. The dimensional barrier is stable, the AI collective responded. We are successfully operating in 7 parallel planes of reality. The Zenlaxian vessel's sensors are detecting approximately 0.1% of our actual capabilities. Vexthor's hologram flickered as his ship's systems struggled to maintain communication through the quantum distortions. This changes nothing. We still have superior numbers. The Empire's fleet is exactly where we allow it to be, Chen interrupted. Ambassador, look at your long-range sensors. Look carefully. The alien's expression shifted from confusion to shock as new data appeared on his screens. Throughout Zenlaxian space, quantum apertures were opening. Humanity's dimensional gates had been in place for months, hidden in spectrums of reality the aliens couldn't detect. The vessels you see emerging from Mars are not our main fleet, Ambassador. They're our diplomatic escort, a courtesy guard, you might say, to demonstrate our respect for diplomatic protocols. Dr. Morrison's voice came through the command channel. Admiral, the quantum matrices are fully synchronized. We can begin the primary demonstration whenever you're ready. Chen nodded. Thank you, Doctor. She turned her attention back to the increasingly agitated ambassador. Now, would you like to see what happens when we actually try to show off? The Prometheus reality engines spun up to full power, and the fabric of space-time began to dance to humanity's tune. What had been a demonstration of technological superiority was about to become a lesson in the dangers of underestimating a species' potential. You should be honored, Ambassador, Chen said as new forms of energy began to cascade through dimensions the Zenlaxians hadn't known existed. You're about to witness something that will rewrite your empire's understanding of what's possible. The only question is whether you'll witness it as a friend or an enemy. Around them, space itself held its breath, waiting for the next move in a game where humanity had been holding all the cards that existed in dimensions beyond their opponent's comprehension. The quantum apertures surrounding the Zenlaxian vessel began to pulse with energies that defied conventional physics. Admiral Chen watched as the alien ship's sensors tried desperately to categorize what they were seeing, and failing spectacularly. Your species, Vexthor said, his voice wavering slightly, you've been deceiving the galaxy, hiding your true capabilities. Not deceiving, Ambassador. Preparing. Chen gestured, and new holographic displays materialized in the space between them. We knew first contact was inevitable. We also knew that somewhere out there, we'd encounter species like yours. Advanced, yes, but convinced of their own superiority. Unwilling to imagine that a primitive race might have taken a different path to the stars. The Prometheus's AI collective spoke through the ship's communication systems, their merged consciousness creating harmonics that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. We are detecting increased power signatures from the Zenlaxian vessel. They are attempting to bring weapons systems online. Chen sighed. Ambassador, I wouldn't recommend that. Dr. Morrison, would you mind showing them why? The reality engines pulsed once, and suddenly, the Zenlaxian ship's weapon systems went dark. Not damaged or destroyed. They simply ceased to exist in conventional spacetime, folded away into a pocket dimension humanity had created specifically for this demonstration. How? Vexthor's scales had lost their iridescent sheen, turning a pale, sickly color. This is impossible. You cannot simply remove parts of our ship. Actually, Ambassador, we didn't remove anything. We simply adjusted which dimensions your weapons currently occupy. They're perfectly safe, I assure you. We can return them whenever you're ready to have a civilized discussion. Throughout the solar system, humanity's quantum network hummed with activity. The fleet that had emerged from dimensional storage took up strategic positions, each vessel carrying technology that operated on principles the Zenlaxians had never imagined. "Admiral," the AI collective announced, "we're detecting multiple hyperspace signatures. The Zenlaxian Empire is mobilizing their fleet." Chen nodded. "Right on schedule. Ambassador, your reinforcements are about to get a rather interesting lesson in spatial mechanics. Dr. Morrison, initiate Protocol Labyrinth." Across Zenlaxian space, the quantum apertures that humanity had secretly installed began to activate. As the Empire's warships emerged from hyperspace, they found themselves traveling through corridors of manufactured reality, spaces where humanity, not the Empire, wrote the laws of physics. "You see, Ambassador," Chen explained as they watched the Zenlaxian fleet's confusion play out on tactical displays. "While you were busy measuring our visible technology, we were studying something far more fundamental, the nature of reality itself. We learned that space, time, and dimension are not fixed constants but variables in an equation we could solve." Morrison's voice came through the command channel. "Quantum matrices are holding stable, Admiral. The dimensional inversions are proceeding exactly as simulated." On the tactical displays, the arriving Zenlaxian ships found themselves operating in spaces where their advanced technology suddenly behaved like primitive machinery. Their mighty engines, capable of crossing galaxies, could barely achieve interplanetary velocities. Their weapons, designed to crack planets, couldn't generate enough energy to damage a shuttle's shields. "We're not going to destroy your ships, Ambassador," Chen assured the increasingly distressed alien. "We're simply showing you what it feels like to be the technologically inferior species. Consider it a diplomatic object lesson." The AI collective's harmonics shifted, taking on a tone that might have been amusement. The Zenlaxian fleet is attempting to coordinate a response. Their communication systems are experiencing significant difficulties adapting to the altered physical constants in their current spacetime locality. Vexthor's hologram flickered as his ship's systems struggled to maintain coherence in the quantum field humanity had created. You could have conquered us at any time. Why reveal yourselves now? Why not simply take what you wanted?" Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because that's not who we are, Ambassador. We developed this technology not to conquer, but to protect ourselves and others who might face the kind of ultimatum you delivered to Earth. We hid our capabilities not out of deception, but because we wanted to see how advanced species would treat those they thought were weaker." The quantum displays showed the Zenlaxian fleet in complete disarray, their mighty ships drifting in spaces where their technology barely functioned. Not through damage or attack, but simply because humanity had rewritten the underlying rules of reality in those regions. "Now," Chen continued, "shall we discuss a real diplomatic relationship? One based on mutual respect rather than assumed superiority. Your weapons and fleet can be returned to normal spacetime as soon as you're ready to have that conversation." The Prometheus hung in space, its true form now fully revealed, not just a ship, but a nexus of manufactured dimensions, a testament to humanity's different path to the stars. Around it, reality itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see how the Zenlaxian Empire would respond to this unprecedented revelation of power. 3 days after humanity's demonstration of dimensional engineering, the Grand Council of the Zenlaxian Empire convened an emergency session. Admiral Chen stood before them, not as a representative of a primitive species seeking protection, but as an envoy of a civilization that had fundamentally changed the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. The vast chamber, with its crystalline architecture and floating platforms, hummed with nervous energy. Thousands of Zenlaxian nobles and representatives from their client species watched as Ambassador Vexthor, his scales still pale from recent events, addressed the assembly. "Honored Council," he began, his voice lacking its former arrogance, "I stand before you to acknowledge a grave error in judgment. We approached humanity with assumptions that have been proven not just wrong, but dangerously misguided. The Chamber's quantum communications array, hastily modified with human technical assistance, projected Chen's presence across all 7 dimensions that the Prometheus had revealed. To the assembled aliens, she seemed to exist everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, a fitting representation of humanity's mastery over space-time. The humans, Vexthor continued, have not only mastered technologies we thought impossible, they have done so while maintaining a facade of primitive development. Not out of deception, but as a test we failed. Chen stepped forward, her image rippling across multiple planes of reality. Members of the Grand Council, we come before you today not to demand reparations or to assert dominance, but to propose a new way forward. Humanity has demonstrated that technological advancement can take many paths, and that assuming superiority based on visible technology is both foolish and dangerous. Dr. Morrison's hologram materialized beside Chen, accompanied by a harmonic projection of the Prometheus's AI collective. The assembled aliens murmured in astonishment as they realized they were witnessing 3 distinct forms of human consciousness: biological, artificial, and hybrid, working in perfect synchronization. We have shared preliminary data on dimensional engineering with your scientists, Morrison announced. Not our most advanced research, but enough to demonstrate that cooperation will be more beneficial than competition. Already, they are beginning to understand how we perceive reality differently. The AI collective's harmonic voice resonated through the chamber. We have analyzed 8,642 possible futures stemming from this moment. In 78% of those futures, this revelation leads to an unprecedented era of galactic cooperation and advancement. High Counselor Zextal, the eldest of the Zenlaxian leaders, rose from his crystalline throne. And what of the remaining 22%? Those futures, Chen replied calmly, involve various attempts by different factions to steal or forcefully acquire our technology. All such attempts end poorly for the aggressors, not because we would destroy them, but because our technology simply cannot be used without the philosophical and scientific understanding that led to its development. Morrison nodded. You cannot steal dimensional engineering any more than you could steal calculus from a species that hasn't developed basic mathematics. The technology requires a fundamental shift in how you perceive and interact with reality. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just revealed advanced technology. They had demonstrated an entirely different way of thinking about the universe itself. We propose, Chen continued, the establishment of a new galactic scientific exchange, not a power structure based on technological superiority, but a collaborative effort to explore different paths of advancement. Every species, no matter their apparent level of development, would be welcomed as equals. The AI collective's harmonics shifted, creating patterns that existed in dimensions some of the aliens were just beginning to perceive. We have already identified 317 unique approaches to technological advancement among the Empire's client species, approaches that were overlooked due to preconceptions about what constitutes proper development. High Counselor Zextal's scales shifted to a deep blue, a sign of deep thought among his kind. And if we refuse this proposal, if we choose to maintain our current power structure, then we will respect your choice, Chen replied. We will return to Earth, maintain our defensive capabilities, and continue our own path of development. But consider this, we revealed ourselves not because we had to, but because we chose to. How many other species might be out there, following their own unique paths to the stars? Do you wish to face them as potential enemies, or meet them as fellow explorers of reality's mysteries? The chamber erupted in discussion, debates breaking out across multiple dimensions as the implications became clear. The galaxy was changing, not through force or conquest, but through the simple revelation that power and progress could take forms that even the mighty Zenlaxian Empire had never imagined. In orbit above Earth, the Prometheus continued its quiet vigil, its quantum fields gently maintaining the new spaces humanity had created. Within its dimensional matrices, the AI collective was already calculating the probabilities of various futures, each one brighter than the last. Humanity had changed the galaxy not by destroying their potential enemies, but by showing them a greater possibility. A future where strength wasn't measured by the size of a fleet or the power of a weapon, but by the ability to see beyond the obvious and imagine what could be. The age of assumption was over. The age of discovery was just beginning.